Interwoven with the miraculous conception and birth of Jesus, the star, the visit of the Magi, and c. we have a myth which belongs to a common form, and which, in this instance, is merely adapted to the special circumstances of the age and place. This has been termed the myth of the dangerous child. Its general outline is this: a child is born concerning whose future greatness some prophetic indications have been given. But the life of the child is fraught with danger to some powerful individual, generally a monarch. In alarm at his threatened fate, this person endeavors to take the child's life, but it is preserved by divine care. Escaping the measures directed against it, and generally remaining long unknown, it at length fulfills the prophecies concerning its career, while the fate which he has vainly sought to shun falls upon him who had desired to slay it. There is a departure from the ordinary type, in the case of Jesus, inasmuch as Herod does not actually die or suffer any calamity through his agency. But this failure is due to the fact that Jesus did not fulfill the conditions of the messiahship, according to the Jewish conception which Matthew has here in mind. Had he, as was expected of the Messiah, become the actual sovereign of the Jews, he must have dethroned the reigning dynasty, whether represented by Herod or his successors. But as his subsequent career belied the expectations, the evangelist was obliged to postpone to a future time his accession to that throne of temporal dominion which the incredulity of his countrymen had withheld from him during his earthly life. The story of the slaughter of the infants, which is said to have taken place in Judea about the time of the birth of Jesus, is to be found in the 2nd chapter of Matthew, and is as follows: When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word. The wise men went to Bethlehem and found the young child, but instead of returning to Herod as he had told them, they departed into their own country another way, having been warned of God in a dream, that they should not return to Herod. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth, and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under. We have in this story, told by the Matthew narrator, which the writers of the other Gospels seem to know nothing about, almost a counterpart, if not an exact one, to that related of Krishna of India, which shows how closely the mythological history of Jesus has been copied from that of the Hindu savior. Yogath Chunder Ganguly, a Hindu convert to Christ, tells us, in his Life and Religion of the Hindus, that a heavenly voice whispered to the foster father of Krishna and told him to fly with the child across the river Jumna, which was immediately done. 166. This was owing to the fact that the reigning monarch, King Kansa, sought the life of the infant savior, and to accomplish his purpose, he sent messengers to kill all the infants in the neighboring places. 166. Mr. Higgins says, soon after Krishna's birth he was carried away by night and concealed in a region remote from his natal place, for fear of a tyrant whose destroyer it was foretold he would become, and who had, for that reason, ordered all the male children born at that period to be slain. 166. Sir William Jones says of Krishna, he passed a life, according to the Indians, of a most extraordinary and incomprehensible nature. His birth was concealed through fear of the reigning tyrant Kansa, who, at the time of his birth, ordered all newborn males to be slain, yet this wonderful babe was preserved. 166. For in the epic poem Mahabharata, composed more than 2,000 years ago, we have the whole story of this incarnate deity, born of a virgin, and miraculously escaping in his infancy from the reigning tyrant of his country, related in its original form. Representations of this flight with the babe at midnight are sculptured on the walls of ancient Hindu temples. T.W. Doan. Bible myths and their parallels in other religions / being a comparison of the Old and New Testament myths and miracles with those of the heathen nations of antiquity, considering also their origin and meaning. Kindle location 6534 to 6578. Kindle edition.